Yeah, hi everyone. I hope you all are doing well. I'm back again with a very interesting video for all the CLAT PG aspirants जो भी CLAT PG की तैयारी कर रहे हैं और उनको ये नहीं समझ में आ रहा है कि CLAT PG किस तरीके के सवाल पूछेगा, या जिन्होंने 2020 का पेपर नहीं देखा है और अभी एक माइंडसेट उनका नहीं बन पाया है कि आखिरकार CLAT के पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन यानी LLM के एंट्रेंस एग्जामिनेशन में किस तरीके के सवाल आ सकते हैं। उनके लिए हमने एक छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल यहाँ पे हम आपके सामने लेके आएंगे। छोटा सा पैसेज रहेगा कि आपको बताएगा कि किस तरीके के क्वेश्चंस हैं जो क्लैट कंसोर्टियम है आपसे एक्सपेक्ट करता है कि आप जानो। ध्यान में रखना कि आप ऑलरेडी लॉ पढ़ के आ चुके हो 5 साल का, सिर्फ बेसिक नॉलेज होना इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है यहाँ पे। आपको यू नीड टू गेट इनटू द इंट्रिकेसीज ऑफ लॉ। The very fact that the reading comprehensions has been brought into this. Now, the very fact that reading comprehensions have been brought into the domain of CLAT PG examination is also because you are bound or you are obliged to read a lot of case briefs. And while you are working after your LLM, wherever you are working, you need to have the understanding as well as the insight into the intricacies of law. लॉ की बारीकियां पता होना आपको जरूरी है, जो कि ये एग्जामिनेशन आपको आंकता है जिस वे में। अब जुडिशरी की तैयारी करने वालों के लिए क्लैट की तैयारी में सिर्फ एक चैलेंज आता था, वो था जूरिस्प्रूडेंस का और थोड़ा बहुत एनवायरमेंटल लॉ और टैक्स लॉ का। लेकिन अब इस पूरी पूरी जो एक सेट पैटर्न था क्लैट पीजी की तैयारी करने का, वो पूरी तरीके से चेंज हो चुका है। किसी भी तरह की कोई भी आप कितने भी एमसीक्यूज वाली किताब लगा लो, सफिशिएंट नहीं है, बिकॉज देयर आर अ लॉट ऑफ सब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस दैट कैन बी आस्क्ड। कई सारी इंटरप्रिटेशन के बेस्ड चीजें हैं जो कि किसी भी बुक या किसी भी स्टैट्यूट में कवर नहीं होती। इसका मतलब कि सिर्फ बेयर एक्ट की नॉलेज होना सफिशिएंट नहीं है। यहाँ पे आपको लैंडमार्क जजमेंट्स के बारे में भी पढ़ना पड़ेगा और स्टैंडर्ड बुक्स को फॉलो किए बिना, उनको पढ़े बिना आप ये एग्जाम को एस नहीं कर पाओगे, क्योंकि 2020 का जो पेपर था वो एक बेंचमार्क बन चुका है। पहली बार रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन के पैसेजेस में क्वेश्चंस आए थे के फॉर्म में, और जिस तरीके के क्वेश्चंस आए थे वो काफी ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट थे। हालांकि आपको जो अभी पैसेज शेयर किया जाएगा वो काफी सिंपल होगा, काफी इजी होगा, एक इंसाइटफुल पैसेज होगा। साथ ही में इस सेशन के एंड में मैं आपको कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से रिलेटेड कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट लैंडमार्क जजमेंट्स भी के नाम भी बताऊंगा, इनको कि आप पढ़ सकते हो। और अगर आपको कोई डिफिकल्टी होती है समझने में, तो डिस्क्रिप्शन में दिए गए मोबाइल नंबर पे आप मुझे व्हाट्सएप कर सकते हो और हम उन कंफ्यूजन्स को आपके लिए दूर करने की पूरी कोशिश करेंगे। गिव मी अ मोमेंट, आई एम गोइंग टू शेयर द स्क्रीन बिफोर यू। यहाँ पे कि वो पैसेज आपके सामने ओपन हो जाएगा। दैट्स ग्रेट। I think you guys can see the screen. You guys can see the passage, right? So this is it. यहाँ पे पैसेज आपको बेसिकली क्रिमिनल लॉ से लिया गया है, क्रिमिनल लॉ से लिया गया है। And here we are going to read the passage. Before you, first I will try to read the passage, and the pace at which I'll be reading the passage, you also need to read the passage at the same pace. And I'll try to explain and understand the passage while I'm reading it. You also try that with me. FIR is a pertinent document in the criminal law. Remember, vocab is not important in this examination. Nobody is asking to you to know some basic words or vocab आपकी अच्छी होनी चाहिए, ये जरूरी नहीं है। Intricacies of law के बारे में पूरी तरह से जानकारी होनी चाहिए। The FIR is a pertinent document in the criminal law procedure of a country, and its main object, from the point of view of the informant, is to set the criminal law in motion, and from the point of view of the investigating authorities, is to obtain information about the alleged criminal activity so as to be able to take suitable steps to trace and bring to book the guilty. Right? Hope this passage is very well clear. It's basically about FIR, why it is considered as a very important document, and what are the two perceptions regarding FIR from the informant point of view, also from the investigating agency point of view. Also. Historical experience has thrown up cases from both the sides where the grievance of the victim informant of non-registration of valid FIRs, as well as that of the accused of being unnecessarily harassed and investigated upon false charges, have been found to be correct. Provisions contained in Chapter 12 of 1 of the law deal with information to the police and their powers to investigate. This chapter sets out the procedure to be followed during investigation. FIR is mentioned under Section 2 of Criminal Procedure Code for any information received regarding the commission of a number 3 offense it needs to be registered. Question whether police officers have powers to hold a preliminary inquiry before registering an FIR, or whether it is required to compulsory register the FIR, has come before the Honorable Supreme Court in a lot of cases, in a lot of instances, out of which the most landmark is the number 4. It may be mentioned in this connection that the first and the foremost principle of interpretation of a statute, as held the Constitution bench in every system, is literal rule of interpretation. The language applied in the particular section is the determinative factor of the legislative intent. I think you are able to get it. तो आई थिंक अभी तक आपको पूरा पैसेज जो है वो क्या समझाना चाह रहा है ये तो समझ में आ ही रहा होगा. पढ़ते हैं पैसेज को पढ़ते हैं. द टर्म शैल कहाँ दिया हुआ है ये आपको नहीं पूछेगा, ये आपसे सवाल नहीं पूछेगा. द टर्म शैल इन इट्स ऑर्डिनरी सिग्निफिकेंस mandatory, and the court shall ordinarily give that interpretation to that term unless an interpretation leads to some absurd or inconvenient consequence or be at variance with the intent of the legislature. तो लिटरल रूल ऑफ इंटरप्रिटेशन आपको इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ स्टैट्यूट में पढ़ाया गया है, आपने पढ़ा होगा. 5 तरीके के रूल होते हैं, क्या होते हैं वो आप समझ सकते हो. The word shall makes it compulsory on part of the police officers. The word shall makes it compulsory on part of the police officers to promptly register anything which is particular to the relevancy of FIR. Under the Criminal Code of India, the police has the powers under Section 156 to investigate upon the commission of such offences. Whereas, for the same nature of offences, the magistrate is empowered under Section the number 5 of the same code. Some states have enacted their respective police acts which empower the police officers to have a preliminary investigation conducted before they register the FIR. But owing to the constitutional mandate as given in Article number 6 of Indian Constitution, that if there is any inconsistency between the state law and central law on the same subject matter, the intent of the central legislature would be considered as superimposing over the state legislation. Therefore, in many judgments, the Honorable Supreme Court has conclusively found that the registering the FIR is a mandatory process. The police officials have the power to proceed to investigate under Section 156 of CRPC 1973. Thereupon, they are required to complete the investigation without unnecessary delay, and as soon as it was completed, forward to a magistrate empowered to take cognizance of the offence upon police report under section the number 7 of the code. Based on the passage, try to answer the questions. Now, before you get to see the kind of questions that are asked, you need to keep 2-3 things in mind. Number one, that strict questions from a particular subject will not be asked. There can be different points of conjectures where you are need to understand, you need to have a basic knowledge about the constitutional law, the criminal law, the civil law, some basic conjectures are there because whenever a case is before a Supreme Court, it's usually on the questions of law, right? So you need to have a basic understanding of the criminal law. However, reading only cases of constitutional, from constitutional side is not sufficient because there are obviously certain parameters which are to be decided by the Supreme Court. There are certain questions of law which are to be decided by the Supreme Court, which are from different subjects. That can be contractual, that can be civil, that can be personal laws, right? But they have to be interpreted in the light of the Constitution. So, constitutional law, having a basic notion about all the constitutional aspects is very important, and you also need to. I mean, this thing you will usually observe. It will usually get developed once you will trickle down to read down the case laws. You will understand what a judge is saying, what the opinions they are using to give a particular judgment on a particular issue. I think that becomes very imperative for all of you to understand. Let's start with the questions. Get into the habit of reading case laws. I think you are not in a position right now to avoid it. Based on the passage, try to answer the questions. In which of the following criminal statutes there are powers given to police officers marked as one? इसके अंदर पुलिस वालों के पास शक्ति है कि वो किसी भी मैटर को इन्वेस्टिगेट कर सकते हैं. The answer is very simple. Police Act 1861 is ancillary to what the powers have been given to police officers in Chapter 5 of Criminal Procedure Code. But I think the right answer is Criminal Procedure Code. Question: Provisions related to compulsory registration. Compulsory registration of FIR किस सेक्शन में दिया है क्रिमिनल कोड ऑफ इंडिया सीआरपीसी के किस सेक्शन में दिया है? दैट इज सेक्शन 154 बी. Question 3. Which provision of procedural law in India the police officers have the power to make an arrest without needing to have a warrant from the magistrate? Powers of police officers में किन सेक्शन में दिया है ऐसा कि पुलिस वाले बिना वारंट के अरेस्ट कर सकते हैं? सेक्शन 141 सीआरपीसी, 41 आईपीसी, 41 एविडेंस, 41 सीआरपीसी. द राइट आंसर इज सेक्शन 41 सीआरपीसी. The commission of which kind of offence marked as 3 in the passage makes it an obligation upon the police officer to register the FIR. FIR को रजिस्टर करने के लिए किस तरीके का ऑफेंस मेंशन होना चाहिए तभी जाके FIR का कंपलसरी रजिस्ट्रेशन करना है एज पर सेक्शन 154. ऑप्शंस है नॉन बिलेबल ऑफेंस हुआ हो, नॉन कंपाउंडेबल ऑफेंस हुआ हो, कॉग्निजेबल और नॉन बिलेबल ऑफेंस हुआ हो या सिर्फ कॉग्निजेबल ऑफेंस हुआ हो. नॉन बिलेबल ऑफेंस इसमें जमानत नहीं मिलेगी. नॉन कंपाउंडेबल ऑफेंस में इसमें पार्टी अपनी मर्जी से समझौता नहीं कर सकती. कॉग्निजेबल ऑफेंस में पुलिस के पास पावर है बिना वारंट के अरेस्ट करने के लिए. आंसर है इसका डी. कॉग्निजेबल ऑफेंस अगर हुआ है तो सेक्शन 154 मेक्स इट अ मैंडेटरी प्रोविजन टू कंपल्सरी रजिस्टर दी है. मियर इंफॉर्मेशन रिसीव्ड, अब ये ध्यान दीजिएगा, ये आपके बेयर एक्ट की रीडिंग अगर आपने करी है तो भी ऐसे सवालों को आप आंसर नहीं कर पाएंगे क्योंकि कई सारी चीजें आपको कमेंट्स में और केस ब्रीफ्स में दी रहती हैं जिसपे कि ध्यान यूजुअली बच्चे नहीं देते हैं while they are reading the Bear Act. Mere information received on phone with regard to the commission of an offence by a police officer without the nature of injuries mentioned or the place of the incidents shall be considered as FIR. ये स्टेटमेंट क्या सही है, क्या पार्टली गलत है, पूरी तरीके से गलत है या कोई कमेंट नहीं दिया जा सकता इस स्टेज पे. सिंपल से इंफॉर्मेशन मिली है फोन पे किसी पुलिस वाले को, ना तो किस तरह का ऑफेंस हुआ है ये बताया है, किस तरह की इंजरी लगी है एग्रीव्ड पर्सन को वो भी उसने नहीं बताया है, ना ही जगह का डिस्क्रिप्शन दिया है. तो क्या इसको एफआईआर कंसीडर किया जाएगा? Came as an important question in one of the landmark judgments. However, if you read the comments of section 154, you will find that this cannot be considered as an FIR because FIR has to be registered for mandatorily for a cognizable offense, and unless and until the nature of injuries are revealed to the police officer or the place of incident is revealed to the police officer whereby the police officer can reach and inspect and then find that it was a cognizable offense committed, so he has to register the FIR. The statement stands false. Statement is false. The right answer is C. Who has the power under section 154 to register the FIR? This amounts to a very technical question. Very acute reading of section 154, then only you will be able to answer the question. However, it is basically we have presumed that हम पुलिस में थाने में जाएंगे और कोई भी FIR लिख लेगा, लेकिन सबके पास पावर नहीं होती है FIR को रजिस्टर करने की. FIR का अपना नंबर होता है, उसके आगे स्लैश करके ईयर लिखा रहता है, तो वो उस पुलिस स्टेशन का नंबर ऑफ केसेस कितने रिपोर्ट हुए हैं उसमें उसका भी इंफॉर्मेशन होता है. एक तरीके से पुलिस ऑफ स्टेशन का इंचार्ज जो होता है, क्या वो एफआईआर लिखता है या उसके नीचे किसी भी अधिकारी को ये पावर है कि वो एफआईआर रजिस्टर कर सकता है. ये चीजें, ये जानकारी होना आपके लिए जरूरी है. ऑफिसर नॉट बिलो द रैंक ऑफ सब इंस्पेक्टर, एसआई के नीचे नहीं, एनी ऑफिसर इन द पुलिस स्टेशन कैन रजिस्टर द एफआईआर. एसपी होना चाहिए ऑफिसर इन चार्ज ऑफ पुलिस स्टेशन. आई थिंक द राइट आंसर इज हियर, राइट आंसर इज, right answer for you is D. Officer in charge of a police station, because any FIR that is coming to a police station is a record of the number of crimes that has been committed in that particular jurisdiction, in the police station's particular jurisdiction. Now, when the officer in charge of a police station, that is usually station house officers, at some place that is called SO, station officer, SHO, TI, Thana in charge, they are called into questions, deputations by their senior officials, superintendent of police, circle officers at times, who, they are put questions as to what is the reason why the number of cases are being registered at your particular station are increasing. Obviously, the officer in charge of a police station is responsible for the number of cases that are being registered as FIR for cognizable offences in the particular jurisdiction, and hence the FIR can be recorded in the name of the police officer. So the police officer, the of that particular, the police officer has to be knowing the content of the Identify the name of the case marked as 4 in the passage above. कौन सा केस है जिसमें कि मैंडेटरी कंपल्सरी रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ एफआईआर जो है वो इम्पोर्टेंट मार्क किया गया था और उसमें ये बोला गया था कि किसी भी तरह का इन्वेस्टिगेशन पहले से नहीं करना चाहिए। राइट आंसर इज सी, ललिता कुमारी वर्सेस गवर्नमेंट ऑफ उत्तर प्रदेश। ये अगेन एक स्टैट्यूटरी क्वेश्चन है, अब BEAR को आप ध्यान से पढ़ोगे तो आपको मिलेगा। The information received or otherwise, or where the officer of a police station has reason to believe that a cognizable offence has been committed, has to prepare a police report as given in the passage upon the same and forward it to the magistrate concerned under which section of the criminal procedure code. पुलिस वालों को एक इन्फॉर्मेशन पे एक पुलिस रिपोर्ट प्रिपेयर करनी पड़ती है जिसको मजिस्ट्रेट को भेजनी पड़ती है। ये प्रोविजन किस सेक्शन में दिया है? इसका करेक्ट आंसर है डी, सेक्शन 173। अब अगेन आपको क्रिमिनल लॉ, CRPC को अच्छे से पढ़ना पड़ेगा इन चीजों को मार्क करते हुए। Identify the section of Criminal Procedure Code mentioned as the number 5 under which the magistrate is empowered to take cognizance of such offences based on the police report as in the passage given above. Based on the police report that is being presented to magistrate by the police officer based on the information regarding the commission of a cognizable offence, the magistrate also has the power to take matter to direct the investigation under which section of CRPC, that is section 190. Right answer is section option B. What is the minimum number of judges that can take up any issue to constitute a constitution bench? Now, this is not a part of your law, but however, this matter in Lalita Kumari was decided by a constitutional bench that comprised minimum of 5 judges. I mean, where it is given in Article 145 of Indian Constitution. So you need to know all these things. Whereas a bench of maximum of 13 judges is considered as maximum so far has been, was there in the case of the Bharti case. If there is any inconsistency between the state law, again a constitutional law question, if there is any inconsistency between the state law and central law, marked as 6 in the passage, the central law will prevail. This cardinal principle is enshrined under which article of Indian Constitution? Remember that if there is any inconsistency between state laws, between two different state laws, I think that the jurisdiction of the state law is limited to a particular state. There is any infringement into the constitutional provisions or the contours of the constitution, if there is any law by the state, the Supreme Court can nullify the law. Supreme Court can direct the state government to make necessary amendments. Other matter can also go and be decided by the parliament. But then again, if there is any subject matter on which different states have laws, whereas there is a central law will prevail, right? Despite of the fact whether central law has power over it or not. There are three lists, even if the subject falls within the purview of the state list, but still there is a central law that is directing the entire issue. The central law will prevail. This has been given in which article of Indian Constitution? Article 250. Thanks for watching the video. I hope the session was useful. In case you need more interesting questions, you can contact us by filling the form in the website, or you can contact directly on the number that is given. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I was about to tell you the names of interesting case laws also that you need to read, right? So here are the names that you can still read, and there would be questions that I would be putting up from these case laws also. So you can write down Shaira Banu versus Union of India. It is based on Article 14. The difference between reasonable classification and class legislation has been mentioned. NALSA, National Legal Services Authority versus Union of India. Justice K.S. Puttaswamy and another versus Union of India based on right to privacy in Article 21. Very recent judgment, very important. Vichakha and others versus State of Rajasthan for Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act, and very important for women's safety, women empowerment. You can read that. TMA Pai Foundation and others versus State of Karnataka, which is based on the rights of minorities. Then you have Indian Young Lawyers Association versus State of Kerala, again a very recent issue, the Sabrimala verdict, in which Article 25, Article 17, Article 26, and Article 14 of Indian Constitution have been reviewed by the Constitution. You can refer to these particular cases, you can read them, and in case there is any difficulty that you're not able to understand what has been held in the case laws or how to read the judgments, you can surely contact me and I'll definitely clear all the doubts. Thank you so much for watching. Wait for the next session, wait for next interesting set of questions that we have for you. Till then, hustle hard, start reading Kate's laws, start reading good books, and do not forget to complete the bear acts. All the very best for your preparation. See you.